Hi, I'm Iris from the Cashmere Goat, and today we have Whitney. Whitney is our amazing yarn rep from Knitting Fever, and she's here today to talk all things yarns with Kristen. But first, we're going to take this opportunity and talk a little bit about the shaping that Whitney did when she made this beautiful shop sample that we have of the Anker summer tee. So Whitney, tell us a little bit about the mods that you made.
So the Anker is one of my favorite patterns to knit. I've made several of them, and in that experimentation I've been able to reason a couple of things that make the sweater fit me better. The first modification I make is I like to knit just as the pattern's written to the sleeve separation, and then I add some stitches at the underarm. So in this particular sweater I added 10 additional stitches to the 9 that the pattern calls for my size. I do this to just make a couple of accommodations that we'll discuss a little bit more in a minute. I then go on and finish the body, but taking into account that I like my sweaters to stop just below the waistline on my pants. And I don't want it to fall further onto my hips because I don't want it to stop and sit at the widest part of my body. So I go ahead and stop that a little bit higher up on my waist. Then I finish the pattern, with those modifications, just as written with the 1x1 rib. And then the last modification I have made on this sweater is I shorten the sleeves just a little bit. So I find that if the sleeve is too long, it again is stopping at a point in my body that I don't necessarily want to draw additional attention to. So, if the sleeve is too long, it's going to stop right at my bust. So I like it to stop a little bit higher up on my arm and just gives me a little bit better proportions.
Yeah, great. Which is one of the awesome things about making our own clothes, is that we get to work with the body that we have and work with the garment that we're making to make something that we really feel good about how it fits our body.
Absolutely. So I've come to these realizations that everybody's body is different, and making these changes allows you to feel good in the garment. So in circular yoke sweaters, there are tons. It's such a popular trend. It has been for several years. There are lots of designers writing circular yoke sweaters because they're very beginner friendly. But the thing about a circular yoke is we're making a circle. And the circle is fantastic because our body is a series of tubes. And when we're making the yoke of a sweater, it's going to sit at the top of the tube that is our torso. So for me, taking this circle and now making it be a yoke of a sweater is fantastic because it is very flexible, especially in this great 1x1 rib stitch. There's a lot of ease available in that sweater. So from here, I know that I'm thicker, at my bust, and seem to have more volume to compensate for. So that big addition that I made to the sweater is the 10 stitches at the underarm. And that 10 stitches is an inch and a half or a little more, give or take. And there's not really a formula that I used in deciding that's how much distance I should add. I do know that I don't want negative ease coming across my bust, but I know that I want a little more room without having too much baggy fabric at the underarm. So with this yoke, if I had only done the 9 stitches, it would have been about 2.5 inches of space, and it really would have pulled that yoke very close together at the underarm separation, because we've taken this circle, right? We've pulled it down to be the yoke. And when we separate for the sleeves, this section right here is where our sleeve is going to be. If I nip this very close together, it's going to be real tight, and that's where I know I need additional volume.
Yep.
So by adding stitches, I'm able to ease those points further apart and accommodate for that volume and give myself a little bit looser fit across the center of the sweater.
I love that. I love that graphic. I love the visual of the circle, because I think that really makes sense to see it in that kind of scale model, especially with what you're saying about how to make that modification. So thank you, Whitney. This is awesome. Thanks for taking the time to chat us through some of your thoughts about sweater shaping.
It is my pleasure. And thanks for letting my Anker summer sweater come and hang out at the Cashmere Goat.
And hopefully we'll get your sweater back to you for summer so you can be wearing it.
Maybe I'll just knit another one.
Oh, well, yeah. Thanks. Happy knitting.